His boot connected with her ribs. The crack echoed across the training ground like a gunshot. 23 witnesses. 0 interventions. Maya Sterling, 5'3", 118 pounds, 22 years old, felt bone fracture beneath her compression shirt. The Master Chief leaned down, breath hot against her ear. "Stay down, little girl. You don't belong here." Her vision blurred, her lungs screamed. Every instinct demanded she quit right there. Instead, she pushed herself upright, tasted blood, and pressed record on the body camera hidden under her gear. "I'm not a little girl," she whispered back. "I'm a United States Navy SEAL. And you just ended your career." That kick wasn't her breaking point. It was his. Now, before we show you how a 22-year-old destroyed a 20-year veteran's career with nothing but evidence and spine, drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this truth travels. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this isn't about a woman seeking revenge. This is about a SEAL demanding respect. And what happens when the smallest person in the room becomes the most dangerous? The morning started at 04:45 hours, same as every morning at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. But Lieutenant Junior Grade Maya Sterling already knew this day would be different. She stood in formation with 11 other candidates, all male, all older, all bigger. The Advanced Tactical Integration Course, 8 weeks designed to push SEAL-qualified operators to their absolute limits before team assignments. Maya had graduated BUD/S 3 months earlier, top 15% of her class, first woman to complete Hell Week without rolling, first woman to earn the Trident in 4 years. None of that mattered to Master Chief Garrett Voss. "Morning, gentlemen," Voss said, walking the line. His boots stopped in front of Maya. "And whatever this is," Petty Officer First Class Riker snorted from 2 positions down. Maya's eyes stayed forward. "Good morning, Master Chief." "You know what I love about Mondays, Sterling?" Voss leaned closer. His breath smelled like coffee and contempt. "Fresh starts, clean slates, opportunities to prove you don't belong here." "Master Chief, I've already proven..." "You've proven you can survive a training course designed 40 years ago." He straightened. "But this is operator integration. This is where we see if you can actually function on a team, if you can pull your weight, if you can handle what real SEALs do every single day." Behind Voss, Chief Petty Officer Dawson crossed his arms. Petty Officer Second Class Cruz shifted his weight, eager. Maya felt her heartbeat. Steady. She'd learned that from her father. Commander James Sterling, SEAL Team 3, killed in action in Kabul when Maya was 10 years old. He'd taught her that fear was just information, pain was just a signal, and control was the only thing that mattered. "I'm ready, Master Chief." Voss smiled. Not friendly, predatory. "We'll see." The obstacle course started at 05:15. 23 candidates, timed individual runs followed by team relays. Maya drew lane 7 between Petty Officer Hayes, a tech specialist who'd barely spoken to her in 3 weeks, and Riker, who'd made it clear women had no place in the teams. "On my mark," the range officer called. 3, 2, 1. Maya exploded forward. Wall climb, rope traverse, cargo net, balance beam. Her muscles burned, her lungs screamed. But her father's voice stayed with her. Fast is smooth, smooth is fast. She cleared the final barrier and checked her time. 11 minutes, 43 seconds. Third fastest in her group. "Not bad," Hayes said quietly as she walked past. "For anyone." Maya nodded, appreciated the respect. knew it was rare. The team relay started at 600, four-person squads. Voss assigned them himself. Maya ended up with Riker, Cruz, and a young petty officer named Dominguez, who looked terrified to be there. "All right, listen up," Voss announced. "This is a combat carry simulation. One team member injured. The other three extract them through hostile terrain. Timer starts when you hit the first checkpoint, stops when all four cross the finish line." He paused, looked directly at Maya. "And yes, Sterling, you have to actually carry your share. No special accommodations." Riker laughed. Cruz joined in. Dominguez stared at the ground. "Understood, Master Chief," Maya said. They drew the second rotation, watched the first team struggle through with a 180-pound dummy. Riker was already calculating. "Look," he said to Maya, not even trying to hide his disgust. "You take point, scout the route. Me, Cruz, and Dominguez will handle the actual carrying." "That's not protocol," Maya said. "We rotate every 100 meters. "Protocol is we finish without you embarrassing us." "Protocol," Maya repeated slowly, "is that we function as a team. All four of us. I can handle my 100 meters. Cruz stepped closer. "You're what, 120 pounds soaking wet? That dummy weighs 180. Do the math, sweetheart." "I've done the math. I've also done the carrying, multiple times. During BUD/S, during Hell Week, during BUD/S is over," Riker cut her off. "This is real operator training, and real operators don't risk mission failure to prove a political point." Maya felt the anger rising, pushed it down, converted it to something useful. "Then let's not fail." "Team 2, you're up," the range officer called. They moved to the start line. The dummy was already positioned. Riker, Cruz, and Dominguez took the first carry. Maya ran point, identifying the fastest route through the obstacles. First 100 meters, clean. Riker and Cruz worked well together. Dominguez struggled, but kept pace. Second 100 meters. Maya's turn. She positioned herself at the dummy's shoulders. Riker took the feet. The weight settled across her frame. Heavy. Brutal. Every step sent shockwaves through her legs. But she'd done this before, hundreds of times. Her body knew how to compensate, how to distribute the load, how to breathe through the pain. 70 meters in, Riker stumbled. The dummy shifted. Maya adjusted instantly, taking more weight to keep them balanced. "I'm good," Riker grunted. "Just keep moving." They crossed the 100-meter mark, 8 seconds under pace. "Rotation!" Maya called. Cruz and Dominguez took over. Maya dropped back, breathing hard but controlled. Her heart rate was elevated but manageable. 146 beats per minute. She'd been higher during Hell Week. Third 100 meters, clean. Fourth 100 meters. Maya's turn again. This time, Voss was waiting at the checkpoint. He didn't move, just stood there, directly in their path, clipboard in hand. "Problem, Master Chief?" Maya asked, still holding position. "Just observing." He made a note. "Interesting technique you've got there, Sterling. Using momentum instead of strength. Smart. But what happens when the terrain doesn't allow for momentum?" "We adapt, Master Chief." "Show me." Before she could ask what he meant, Voss stepped directly into their path. No warning, no explanation, just a 210-pound obstacle that hadn't been there a second earlier. Riker stopped. The dummy lurched. Maya's grip tightened. She tried to adjust their angle, move around Voss, but Riker wasn't moving with her. "Master Chief," Riker said, "we're on the clock." "Then I suggest you figure it out." That's when it happened. Voss shifted his weight, deliberately. His shoulder angled toward Maya. His body blocked her path. And when she tried to step to the left to create space, he pivoted. His knee came up fast, drove straight into her ribcage. Left side. Precise. Calculated. The crack was audible. Maya's breath evacuated. Not a scream, just air forced out through clenched teeth. The pain was immediate, white-hot, radiating from the impact point through her entire left side. The dummy dropped. She didn't. Every instinct screamed at her to double over, to protect the injury, to step away. But she'd learned from her father that showing pain was showing weakness, and weakness was permission. So she stayed upright, breathed through her nose, let the pain wash over her without drowning in it. "Clumsy," Voss said quietly, loud enough for her to hear, quiet enough for plausible deniability. "Little girls break easy. Maybe you should stick to admin work." Riker's eyes widened. Even he looked uncomfortable. Cruz stared at Voss, then at Maya, processing what he'd just witnessed. Dominguez took a step back. Maya's left hand went to her ribs, felt the fracture immediately. Hairline, probably. Maybe worse. The kind of injury that required medical evaluation, documentation, immediate withdrawal from training. The kind of injury that would prove Voss right. She felt something else, too. The small, flat rectangle pressed against her sternum under her compression shirt. The body camera she'd started wearing 2 weeks earlier after the third accidental collision during training drills. Her father had taught her something else. Intelligence wins more battles than strength ever could. "You all right, Sterling?" Hayes's voice. He'd stopped his own run, was standing 10 meters away, watching. Maya looked at Voss, then at Riker, then at the range officer who was checking his watch, oblivious. 62 beats per minute. "I'm good," she said. "You sure?" Hayes pressed. I said I'm good." She reached for the dummy. The movement sent fresh pain screaming through her left side. Didn't matter. She gripped the shoulders, nodded to Riker. "Let's finish this." Riker hesitated. "Sterling, if you're hurt, are we finishing this run or forfeiting?" Something changed in Riker's expression. Not respect, exactly, but recognition. He'd seen plenty of tough guys power through injuries. He'd just never expected to see it from her. "We're finishing." They picked up the dummy. Maya's breathing shortened, went shallow to minimize rib expansion. Every step was agony, every breath a negotiation with her own body. But she'd negotiated with worse. Final 100 meters, uphill, through sand. The pain was transcendent now, beyond anything she could compartmentalize. But pain was just information, and the information said, "You can make it." They crossed the finish line. 11th fastest time. Respectable. Maya set the dummy down carefully, straightened slowly. Her left hand stayed pressed against her ribs, but her posture didn't change. Voss was already walking away, didn't even look back. But Hayes was looking, and in the operations building, through the window, someone else was watching too. Seaman recruit Lisa Park, 19, communications specialist, had the best view of the entire course from the monitoring station. She'd seen everything. The collision, the knee strike, the whisper, Maya's refusal to stop, and she'd recorded all of it. Park's hands moved across her console, tagging the footage, copying the files, routing them to secure backup storage. She'd been documenting irregularities in the integration program for 6 weeks, small things, comments, scheduling errors that always seemed to disadvantage the female candidates. But this was different. This was assault. She reached for her phone, then stopped. If she reported it now through official channels, it would get buried. She'd seen it happen before. Good intentions, bad outcomes. The system protected its own. So she saved everything, encrypted it. and waited. At 8:30, Maya finally made it to the medical building, not because she wanted to, because her body was making decisions her mind couldn't override anymore. The corpsman took one look at her and reached for the X-ray authorization form. "Walk me through it," he said. "Hospital corpsman, first class, Martinez. Good reputation, 12 years in. Gay son who'd faced his own share of discrimination. Maya had done her research. "Collision during team carry drill," she said. "Accidental." Martinez gave her a look that said he'd heard that before. "Accidental how?" "Master Chief Voss was observing, got in the path. I tried to adjust. There was contact." "Contact." Martinez positioned the X-ray plate. "Take a deep breath." She tried. The pain stopped her halfway. He nodded, took the image, waited for it to develop. When he came back, his expression was careful, professional. The kind of careful that meant bad news. "Hairline fracture, left 7th rib, right where it meets the sternum. You're looking at minimum 4 weeks restricted duty, probably 6 for full clearance. I can work through it." "You can, doesn't mean you should. If that fracture completes, I said I can work through it." Martinez sat down. "You want to tell me what really happened?" "I already did." "You want to file a report?" "No." "Sterling, I want a copy of the X-ray. I want documentation of the injury with timestamp. And I want to know if restricted duty applies to the SEER exercise scheduled for next week." Martinez blinked. "SEER? With a fractured rib? That's 72 hours of does restricted duty prevent me from participating?" He pulled up the regulations, scrolled through, frowned. "Technically, no. SEER is listed as evaluation training, not physical performance training. You'd need command approval and a medical waiver acknowledging risk, but then I need that waiver." "Why?" Maya met his eyes. "Because I need to finish what I started." Martinez studied her for a long moment. Then he printed the X-ray, signed the waiver with a note about informed consent, and handed her both. "Whatever you're planning," he said quietly, "be smart about it." "Always am." She left medical and went straight to the administration building, found the duty officer. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, Operations Coordinator. Another name from Maya's research. Former surface warfare officer who'd fought her own battles for respect. "I need to request assignment to next week's SEER exercise," Maya said. Chen looked up from her paperwork. "You're already on the roster." "I need to request specific team placement." "We don't take specific placement requests. Team assignments are random to, I need to be on Master Chief Voss's team." The room got very quiet. Chen set down her pen. "Why?" "Training opportunity. He has experience I need to learn from." "Sterling," Chen's voice dropped. "I've been in this Navy for 16 years. I've heard every excuse, every justification, every political maneuver. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Why?" Maya hesitated, calculated, decided. "Because he broke my rib this morning. On purpose. And I need to see if he'll do it again when everything's being recorded." Chen's expression didn't change, but something shifted behind her eyes. "You have proof?" "I will. By the end of SEER." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I can give you right now." Chen leaned back, drummed her fingers on the desk. The silence stretched. "All right," she finally said. "I'll approve the team placement. But Sterling, if this goes wrong, if you're using command resources for personal revenge—" "It's not revenge," Maya interrupted. "It's accountability." "Those aren't mutually exclusive." "In my experience, they rarely overlap." Chen almost smiled. Almost. "Request approved. SEER starts Monday, 0400 hours. Team assignments posted Sunday night. You'll be with Voss.
Thank you, ma'am.
Maya turned to leave. Sterling? She stopped. Your father would be proud. Maya's throat tightened. She didn't trust her voice. Just nodded and walked out. At 1400 hours, she was back in her barracks room. Alone. Door locked. The pain in her ribs had settled into a constant, throbbing ache, the kind that made breathing a conscious effort. She unwrapped the compression bandage Martinez had given her, examined the bruise flowering across her left side. Dark purple, almost black, spreading from the impact point. She'd seen worse. During Hell Week, she'd developed stress fractures in both feet, kept going for 4 more days. The instructors never knew. But this was different. This wasn't about proving she could survive pain. This was about proving she could weaponize it. She pulled out her phone, opened the encrypted messaging app, typed, "Need to talk. Secure line." 30 seconds later, it rang. Maya, Commander David Reeves, her father's best friend, her unofficial mentor, one of the few people in the teams who actually wanted her to succeed. What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Everything's on schedule.
You sound like you're in pain.
Fractured rib, courtesy of Master Chief Voss.
Silence on the other end. Then, did you report it?
No.
Maya,
I'm not reporting it because I'm documenting it. There's a difference.
Explain. She told him everything. The collision, the whisper, the body camera, her request for SEER placement, the plan forming in her mind. When she finished, Reeves was quiet for a long time. You know what you're doing is dangerous, he finally said.
I know.
Not just physically, politically. If this backfires, if he claims you provoked him, if command decides you're the problem,
then I'll have failed. But at least I'll have tried.
Your father used to say the same thing.
I know.
He also said that real operators don't wait for permission to do what's right. Reeves laughed, short, sharp. He did say that, usually right before doing something that got him in trouble. Did it work?
More often than it should have.
Maya smiled despite the pain. Then I'm following his playbook.
Be careful.
Always am. She hung up, pulled out her laptop, spent the next 3 hours reviewing SEER protocols, Voss's service record, and every regulation governing conduct during training exercises. By 1700 hours, she had a plan. By 1900 hours, she had contingencies for when that plan fell apart. And by 2100 hours, as she lay in her rack trying to find a position that didn't make her ribs scream, she had something else. Certainty. They'd tried to break her because she was young, because she was small, because she was a woman in their world. But Maya Sterling had learned something during her 22 years, something her father had taught her before he died. The smallest person in the room could be the most dangerous, not because of strength, because of preparation. And she'd been preparing for this moment her entire life. 4 days until SEER. 4 days to heal enough to function. 4 days for Voss to think he'd won. She closed her eyes, controlled her breathing, let the pain become background noise. Somewhere across base, Voss was probably celebrating, telling Dawson and Riker how he'd put the girl in her place, how she'd finally understand she didn't belong. Let him think that. Let him get comfortable. Because the best lessons were the ones you never saw coming. And Maya Sterling was about to teach a masterclass. Sunday night, 2,347 hours. Maya stood in front of the roster board outside the operations building. The overhead light flickered, casting shadows across the team assignments for SEER. Team 4. Master Chief Garrett Voss, Chief Petty Officer Marcus Dawson, Petty Officer First Class Jake Riker, Petty Officer Second Class Antonio Cruz, Lieutenant Junior Grade Maya Sterling. Her finger traced the last name. 4 days of ice, compression, and controlled breathing had brought the rib pain from unbearable to manageable. Not healed, just functional. "You requested this." Hayes's voice came from behind her. He'd been watching from the corner. "I did." "Why?" Maya turned. Hayes was carrying his gear bag, ready for his own team assignment. His expression wasn't hostile, just confused. "Because men like Voss don't stop unless you make them." "You could have reported him, filed assault charges. NCIS would have..." "Would have what? Investigated? Interviewed witnesses who saw an accident? Put my word against a Master Chief with 20 years of spotless service?" She shook her head. "I need more than my word. I need his." Hayes shifted his weight. "You're going to get yourself hurt worse than you already are." "Probably." "And you think that'll prove something?" "No, but it'll document something. And documentation is evidence. Evidence is accountability." "That's a lot of faith in a system that hasn't exactly protected you so far." Maya met his eyes. "It's not faith. It's strategy." Hayes started to respond, then stopped. Somewhere in the distance, boots echoed on concrete. Someone approaching. "Be careful," he said quietly. "Voss isn't stupid. If he figures out what you're doing, then I better make sure he doesn't figure it out until it's too late." Hayes nodded once and walked away. Maya turned back to the roster, ran her finger over Voss's name. 4 days since he'd fractured her rib. 4 days of him thinking he'd won. 4 days of her letting him believe it. Tomorrow, that changed. At 0400 hours Monday morning, the temperature was 47 degrees. The transport trucks idled outside the barracks, exhaust smoking in the pre-dawn darkness. Maya climbed into the second truck, gear bag slung over her shoulder, each movement calculated to minimize rib stress. Voss was already seated in the back, so were Dawson, Riker, and Cruz. The 4 of them clustered together like they'd planned it. "Well, well," Voss smiled. Not friendly, never friendly. "Look who made it. I half expected you to medical drop before we even started." Maya found a seat opposite them. "Disappointed, Master Chief?" "Just surprised. Most people with fractured ribs know better than to volunteer for 3 days in the mountains." The truck went silent. Riker's eyes widened slightly. Cruz glanced at Voss, then at Maya. "I don't have a fractured rib," Maya said evenly. "No?" Voss leaned forward. "So that visit to medical last Monday was just social? And that X-ray Martinez took was just for fun?" Maya's pulse quickened. He checked her medical records. That was a violation of privacy protocols, but proving it would be nearly impossible. "I had some bruising," she said. "Got it cleared. I'm fit for duty." "Fit for duty?" Voss laughed. "Hear that, boys? She's fit for duty. With a cracked rib. In the middle of a 72-hour survival exercise." He leaned back. "This is going to be educational." The truck lurched forward. Through the canvas opening, Maya watched the base lights disappear behind them. 90 minutes later, they arrived at the SEER training facility, remote mountain location 40 miles from the nearest town. The facility commander, a grizzled lieutenant colonel named Barnes, gave the brief. 72 hours, 5-person teams. You'll navigate hostile terrain, evade capture, resist interrogation if caught, and escape if detained. Everything is monitored. Everything is recorded. Medical extraction available if needed, but using it means automatic failure.
Barnes looked directly at Maya.
Everyone clear? Yes, sir, the teams responded in unison. Team 4, you're in Sector Charlie. Insertion in 30 minutes. Questions? Voss raised his hand. Sir, any accommodations for team members with injuries? Barnes frowned. What injuries? Sterling fractured a rib last week. Just want to make sure we're all operating on the same information. Every head in the room turned toward Maya. She stood. Sir, I'm cleared for duty. Medical waiver signed by Hospital Corpsman Martinez. I'm fully capable of completing the exercise. Barnes studied her. You sure about that, Lieutenant? Absolutely, sir. Because if you go down out there, extraction puts your entire team at risk. I understand, sir. I won't need extraction. Barnes looked like he wanted to argue. Then he glanced at Voss, seemed to read something in the Master Chief's expression, and made his decision. Your call. But if you fail alone. Your team doesn't suffer for your poor judgment. Yes, sir. The brief ended. Teams dispersed to prep their gear. Maya was securing her pack when Dawson approached. You know what you're doing, right? He asked quietly. I know exactly what I'm doing. Because Voss is going to push you. Hard. He wants you to quit. I know. And you're still going through with this. I am. Dawson shook his head. You're either brave or stupid. Haven't figured out which yet. Can't it be both? He almost smiled. Almost. Just watch yourself. Voss is a lot of things, but he's not sloppy. Whatever he does, he'll make it look accidental. Good thing I'm documenting everything that looks accidental. Dawson's expression shifted. Understanding. You're recording this. Every second. He glanced toward Voss, then back to Maya. You really think that'll protect you? I think it'll tell the truth. Whether that protects me or not, we'll find out. At 0630 hours, Team 4 loaded into a helicopter. The rotor wash was deafening. Maya sat between Cruz and the door gunner, pack on her lap, body camera activated under her thermal layer. Voss sat across from her, mouthing something she couldn't hear over the noise. She read his lips. This is your last chance to quit. She smiled and gave him a thumbs up. The helicopter dropped them in a clearing surrounded by dense pine forest. Temperature had dropped to 39 degrees. The trees blocked most of the early light. All right, listen up, Voss said as soon as the helicopter lifted off. Rules are simple. We cover 20 miles in 48 hours. Evade capture teams. Make it to extraction point Delta without getting tagged. If you get caught, you resist interrogation for minimum 6 hours before giving up intel. He pulled out a map. Dawson and Riker, you're on navigation. Cruz, you handle comms monitoring. Sterling, he paused. You're on camp setup. Riker snorted. Camp setup? That's not even a real assignment. It is now. Voss folded the map. Unless Sterling thinks she can handle navigation with a cracked rib. Maya kept her voice neutral. Camp setup works fine, Master Chief. Good, because we're moving in 10 minutes, and if you slow us down, we're leaving you behind. They moved through the forest in tactical column. Dawson on point, Riker second, Voss third, Maya fourth, Cruz bringing up rear security. The pace was brutal. Not sustainable for 3 days, but Voss wasn't thinking about sustainability. He was thinking about breaking her in the first 6 hours. Maya's ribs screamed with every step. The uneven terrain required constant balance adjustments, each one sending fresh pain radiating through her left side. She controlled her breathing, stayed quiet, kept pace. At 0920, Voss called a halt. Water break, 5 minutes. Everyone dropped their packs. Maya moved carefully, trying not to show the relief. You good, Sterling? Voss asked loudly.
Good, Master Chief.
Because you look like you're struggling. Just pacing myself.
Pacing.
He walked closer.
You know what I think? I think you're realizing you made a mistake. I think that rib is killing you, and I think you're about 2 hours from tapping out.
Dawson looked uncomfortable. Even Riker shifted his weight. Maya took a drink from her canteen.
Think whatever you want, Master Chief. I'll be at Extraction Point Delta in 48 hours, with or without you.
Big talk from someone who can barely carry her own pack.
My pack weighs 53 pounds, same as regulations require. I'm carrying my weight.
Are you? Voss moved closer, close enough that his voice wouldn't carry beyond their immediate circle. Because it looks to me like you're carrying about 40 pounds of attitude and 13 pounds of bad decisions.
Master Chief, Dawson started. Stay out of this, Chief.
Maya stood slowly, face to face with Voss, or as close as 5'3" allowed.
My pack is regulation weight.
My performance is within standards. If you have a specific concern about my conduct, file it formally. Otherwise, I'm ready to continue the exercise. Voss's jaw tightened. For a second, Maya thought he might actually hit her. Saw his hand twitch, saw the calculation in his eyes. Then he smiled. All right, Sterling. Let's continue. They moved out. The pace increased. By 1200 hours, they'd covered 8 miles. Maya's rib was a constant scream now. She'd developed a technique, shallow breaths, minimal torso rotation, using her legs more than her core. It worked. Barely. At 1340, they reached their first checkpoint, a small clearing with a cache box containing additional supplies and updated intel on capture team positions. Dawson, check the intel, Voss ordered. Riker, perimeter security. Cruz, comms sweep. Sterling, set up camp. It was 1340 hours. They weren't supposed to camp until nightfall.
Master Chief?
Maya said carefully.
It's early afternoon.
Protocol suggests we continue movement until...
Protocol suggests you follow orders. Set up camp.
For how long?
Until I say we're done.
Maya looked at Dawson. He gave a subtle headshake. Don't fight this. She started unpacking shelter materials. The other 3 worked their assignments. Voss stood watching her, arms crossed. 15 minutes later, she'd constructed a basic shelter, adequate for weather protection, properly secured. Not bad, Voss said. Now take it down. We're moving out. Riker actually laughed. Seriously?
Dead serious. Sterling needs the practice. She's got 20 minutes to break camp and repack, starting now.
Maya's hands were already moving, untying knots, collapsing poles, rolling tarps. Her ribs protested every motion, but she kept her expression neutral. 19 minutes, 40 seconds later, she had everything repacked.
Cutting it close, Voss observed. Still made the deadline.
Barely. He turned to the team. Move out. They'd been walking for 10 more minutes when Maya realized what Voss was doing. The camp setup wasn't about testing her skills. It was about exhausting her. Every extra movement, every unnecessary task, every minute spent setting up and breaking down camp was energy she couldn't recover. It was death by 1,000 cuts. And it was completely within his authority as team leader. At 1630 hours, they stopped again. Another clearing, another cache. Sterling, camp set up. She didn't argue, just started working. At 1645, Voss ordered her to relocate the camp 15 meters west. Better tactical position, he claimed. She complied. At 1702, he ordered another relocation. 10 meters north. "Master Chief," Dawson finally spoke up. "We're burning daylight. We need to ensure our camp is properly positioned. Sterling's still learning. This is educational."
"This is harassment,"
Maya said quietly. The forest went silent. Voss turned slowly. "What did you just say?" "I said this is harassment. Unnecessary camp relocations, excessive tasks assignments. It's designed to exhaust me, not to improve team performance." "Is that your professional opinion, Lieutenant?" "It's my observation." "Your observation." Voss stepped closer. "Based on your extensive experience leading SEAL teams." "Oh, wait. You don't have that experience. Because you just graduated BUD/S. You're the least experienced operator here. So maybe, just maybe, when I give you an assignment, it's because I'm trying to teach you something." "And maybe," Maya said, keeping her voice level, "you're trying to make me quit." "But here's the thing, Master Chief. I don't quit. My father didn't quit, and I'm not starting now." Voss's expression darkened. "Your father has nothing to do with this." "Doesn't he?" "Commander James Sterling, SEAL Team 3, killed in action, Kabul, 2014. He trained half the men on this base, including you." "Don't you dare." "He recommended women for SEAL training in 2012, 3 years before he died. The recommendation was denied, but he tried, because he believed competence mattered more than gender." Voss's fists clenched. "Your father was a great SEAL, one of the best I ever served with, which is why it's a shame his daughter thinks she can trade on his name instead of earning her own reputation." The words hit harder than his knee had. Maya felt something crack inside her. Not bone, this time. Something deeper. But she'd learned from her father, emotion was fuel. Use it or lose it to it. "I'm not trading on anything," she said. "I'm here because I earned it. Bud/S Class 347, top 15%. First woman to complete Hell Week without rolling. I didn't get special treatment. I got the same standards as everyone else. And I met them." "You met the minimum." "The minimum is the standard. Or are you saying the standards are wrong?" Voss opened his mouth, closed it. He couldn't argue that the standards were insufficient without undermining the entire SEAL selection process. "Set up camp," he finally said. "And this time, get it right the first time." Maya worked in silence. Her hands were shaking now, not from fear. From rage she couldn't release. From pain she couldn't acknowledge. From exhaustion that was starting to override her control. At 1847 hours, camp was finally complete. The team ate MREs in tense silence. At 1920, Voss assigned watch rotations. Maya got first watch. Midnight to 0300. Alone. Dawson pulled her aside while the others were setting up sleeping positions. "He's violating buddy system protocol," Dawson said quietly. "Watch rotations are supposed to be 2-person minimum." "I know. If you report it, I'm not reporting it. I'm documenting it. There's a difference." "What's the difference?" "Reports get buried. Documentation builds cases." Dawson studied her. "You really have this planned out, don't you?" "Every detail." "And you're not scared?" Maya looked at him directly. "I'm terrified. But fear is just information. And the information says if I don't do this, nothing changes. Not for me, not for anyone after me." "Your father used to say stuff like that." "I know. He also said courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it." He was right. Dawson paused. "For what it's worth, I think you've got more courage than sense. But I respect it.
Thanks, Chief.
Don't thank me yet. We're only 16 hours in. You've got 56 more to go. At midnight, Maya took her watch position. Perimeter security on the eastern approach. The forest was absolute darkness. No moon, no stars through the cloud cover. Just her night vision goggles and the sound of wind through pine trees. Her ribs throbbed with every breath. The pain medication had worn off hours ago. She'd brought more, but taking it would dull her awareness, and awareness was survival. At 0127, she heard movement, not animal, human. Deliberate, but trying to be quiet. She stayed still, hand near her radio, waiting. Cruz appeared from the direction of camp, alone.
You good?
He whispered.
Fine. Need a break? I can cover for. I said I'm fine.
Cruz hesitated.
Look, Sterling, I know Voss is being an asshole, but he's not wrong about everything. This exercise is dangerous, and you're injured. If something happens, if you get hurt worse, then I get hurt worse. That's on me. It's on all of us. We're a team. Then start acting like it.
Maya kept her eyes forward.
You want to help? Tell Voss to stop assigning me tasks designed to break me down. Tell him to treat me like an operator instead of a problem to solve. He's not going to listen to me. Then document what you see. When this is over, when the investigation happens, you'll be asked what you witnessed. What are you going to say?
Cruz went quiet. Investigation? You think this ends with the exercise? You think I'm going to complete 72 hours of documented harassment and just walk away? You're building a case. I'm building accountability. Cruz backed away slowly. You're going to make a lot of enemies. I already have enemies. I'm just making sure they're on record. He disappeared back toward camp. Maya stayed at her post until 0300. When Riker came to relieve her, she was standing exactly where she'd started. No breaks, no weakness shown. You really don't quit, do you? Riker said.
Not in my DNA.
Voss is going to keep pushing.
Let him.
Sterling, Riker's voice dropped. I was wrong. About you. About women in the teams. I thought you'd wash out. Thought you were just checking a box for the Navy's diversity goals.
And now?
Now I think you're either the toughest person I've ever met, or the most stubborn. Haven't decided which. Again, can't it be both? This time Riker actually smiled. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be worse. He was right. Tomorrow came at 0530 hours, with Voss kicking the bottom of Maya's sleeping bag. Up! We're moving in 20! She rolled out, every muscle screaming. The rib pain had intensified overnight. She'd slept maybe 90 minutes total, mostly in 15-minute increments between pain spikes. Dawson handed her an MRE. He fast, he's already in a mood.
When isn't he?
Fair point. They broke camp in 18 minutes. Voss set a pace that was just below running. The terrain had shifted from forest to rocky hillside, each step requiring careful placement. Maya's breathing went shallow again, trying to minimize rib movement. At 0847, they hit a steep incline. 30-degree slope, loose gravel, no clear path. Straight up, Voss ordered. No switchbacks, we don't have time. Riker looked at the slope. Master Chief, that's going to tear up our knees.
We could,
I said, straight up. They climbed. Maya's ribs ground against each other with every pull. She tasted copper in her mouth, bit her tongue to stay quiet. Halfway up, her boot slipped. She caught herself, but the movement sent fresh agony through her left side. She gasped, couldn't help it. Voss stopped, turned. Problem, Sterling?
No, Master Chief.
Sounded like a problem.
Just adjusting my footing.
Your footing or your attitude? She didn't answer, just kept climbing. At the top, Voss called a halt. Water break, 3 minutes. Maya dropped her pack carefully. Her hands were shaking, not just from exertion, from something deeper, the kind of exhaustion that starts shutting down decision-making. Cruz moved closer, kept his voice low.
You need to stop. I'm fine. You're not fine. I can see you favoring your left side. Your breathing's wrong. You're about 2 hours from complete failure. Then I've got 2 hours. Sterling, I said I'm fine.
Voss was watching from 20 feet away, listening. Always listening. At 12:40 hours, they reached Checkpoint Bravo, a small concrete structure with updated intel and supply cache. Voss gathered the team. New orders just came through. SEER evaluation is adding a resistance to interrogation component. Random team member gets selected for immediate processing. Dawson frowned. That's not standard protocol. RTI doesn't usually start until... Protocol changed. Voss pulled out a tablet. Command wants to test stress response under exhaustion. Makes it more realistic. He looked at the screen. Random selection is... Sterling. The silence was absolute. Maya's pulse spiked. This wasn't random. Couldn't be. When? She asked. Now. There's a holding facility 2 clicks north. You'll be processed there. Rest of the team continues to extraction point. Who conducts the interrogation? Dawson asked carefully. Trained resistance instructors. Protocol requires neutral parties. And who assigns the interrogators? I do. I'm team leader. Master Chief. Dawson's voice hardened. With respect, assigning interrogators for your own team member creates conflict of interest. Standard procedure is I follow orders from command. Unless you want to question the chain of command, Chief. Dawson's jaw tightened, but he couldn't argue without insubordination. Maya stood. It's fine. I'll complete the RTI component. You sure about that? Voss asked. RTI can get intense, especially for people with injuries. I'm aware of what RTI involves, Master Chief. Are you? Because knowing about it and experiencing it are very different things. Then I guess I'm about to find out. Riker stepped forward. I'll volunteer instead. I've been through RTI before. The selection was random, Voss cut him off. Sterling goes. That's final. They arrived at the holding facility at 1320 hours. A converted bunker built into the hillside. Concrete walls, reinforced door, minimal lighting. 2 SEER instructors waited outside, except they weren't instructors Maya recognized. One was Petty Officer Hayes. The other was someone she'd never seen before. Hayes looked uncomfortable. Master Chief, I wasn't told about any interrogation assignment. My orders were to monitor comms from... Orders changed. Command needs additional personnel. You're qualified RTI support, correct? Technically, yes, but then you're assigned. This is Petty Officer Marks from Team 5. He'll assist. Marks was huge. 6'4", probably 240 pounds. His expression was neutral, but his eyes were cold. Maya's internal alarms were screaming now. This wasn't protocol. This was a setup. Master Chief, she said carefully. RTI procedures require documentation. Where's the oversight officer? Inside. Everything's being monitored and recorded per regulations. And the medical oversight? Also inside. I'd like to verify that before we begin. Voss smiled. You questioning my integrity, Lieutenant. I'm following protocol, same as you taught me. Protocol is you follow orders. Get inside, complete the RTI, Prove you can handle what SEALs actually do. Maya looked at Hayes. He gave the slightest headshake. Warning. But she'd come too far to stop now.
Understood, Master Chief.
She walked through the door. Hayes followed. So did Marks. The door closed behind them with a heavy metallic thud. The interior was exactly what she expected. Single room, concrete floor, metal chair bolted to the center, observation window with one-way glass. But no oversight officer, no medical personnel. Just a camera mounted in the corner with a red light that wasn't blinking.
Camera's not active,
Maya said.
It is,
Hayes said quietly.
Master Chief said it's running on backup power. Light's broken.
Did you verify that? Hayes hesitated.
No.
Then we need to stop until... The door opened. Voss walked in. Alone.
Master Chief,
Maya said immediately.
This violates RTI protocol. You can't be in here. Interrogators must be neutral parties, not...
I'm observing, making sure the exercise runs properly.
Protocol specifically states...
Protocol states I'm responsible for my team's training. And right now, I'm ensuring you get properly trained. He nodded to Marks. Secure her. Marks moved forward. Maya stepped back.
I'm not resisting, but this is a direct violation of...
Are you refusing to complete the exercise? Voss asked. The trap was perfect. If she refused, she failed. If she complied, she gave him exactly what he wanted.
I'm stating that this setup violates established RTI procedures.
Noted. Now sit down. Maya calculated. The body camera was still running, had been since they started the exercise. Every word was being recorded, every violation documented. She sat. Marks secured her wrists to the chair arms with flex cuffs. Not tight enough to cut circulation, but tight enough to restrict movement. Voss circled behind her. Let's start simple. What's your team's extraction point?
I'm required to resist providing that information per RTI guidelines.
Wrong answer. His hand came down on her left shoulder. Not hard, just pressure. Enough to shift her posture, compress her ribs. The pain was immediate, sharp, white-hot. She controlled her breathing, didn't make a sound. Extraction point, Voss repeated. Name, rank, service number.
Lieutenant Junior Grade Maya Sterling, United States Navy.
Pressure increased. Her rib shifted. She felt something give. Not breaking completely, just cracking deeper. Master Chief, Hayes said from the corner. This is excessive force. RTI guidelines specifically prohibit... You want to join her in that chair, Hayes? Hayes went silent. Voss leaned down, mouth close to Maya's ear. You could end this right now. Just say you quit. Say you can't handle it. I'll stop. You'll be medically extracted. No shame in recognizing your limitations.
I don't have limitations,
Maya said through gritted teeth.
I have a fractured rib that you deliberately targeted, and you're doing it again, on camera.
There's no camera.
There's always a camera.
Voss's expression shifted. Uncertainty flickered. The body camera I've been wearing since day one of this exercise, Maya continued. Her voice was steady despite the pain.
The one you didn't know about. The one that's been recording every word, every action, every violation of protocol you've committed for the last 52 hours.
The room went absolutely still. You're bluffing, Voss said.
Am I? Check my gear. It's in the compression layer, right side. Digital recorder with encrypted upload. Everything goes to secure cloud storage in real time.
Voss moved around to face her. If you had a recorder, I would have found it during gear check. You found what I wanted you to find. You missed what mattered. His hand shot out, grabbed her collar, ripped open her thermal layer. The small black rectangle was right where she said it would be, red light blinking, recording. How long? Voss's voice was barely controlled. Since 06:30 Monday morning, 63 hours of footage. Every task assignment, every camp relocation, every violation of buddy system protocol, every instance of targeted harassment. And now this, you, in an interrogation room, applying pressure to a documented injury while claiming to follow RTI procedures that explicitly prohibit what you're doing. Marks stepped back from the chair. Hayes moved toward the door. Voss stared at the camera. His face was white. You set me up. No, Maya said. You set yourself up. I just documented it. This is entrapment. You deliberately provoked. I followed every order, completed every task, never once deviated from protocol. You're the one who chose harassment. You're the one who chose assault. You made those decisions. I just made sure there was evidence. Voss's fist clenched. For a second, Maya thought he might actually hit her, saw the calculation in his eyes, the rage fighting with self-preservation. Then the door opened. Captain Morrison walked in. Behind him, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen. Behind her, a Navy JAG officer Maya didn't recognize. And behind him, 2 masters-at-arms. Master Chief Voss. Morrison's voice was ice. Step away from the lieutenant. Voss didn't move. That's an order, Master Chief. Voss stepped back slowly. His eyes never left Maya's. Petty Officer Marks, Morrison continued. Release Lieutenant Sterling. Marks cut the flex cuffs immediately. Maya stood carefully. Her rib was screaming, but she kept her posture straight. Captain, Voss started. This isn't what it looks like. Sterling has been recording everything since Monday morning. Morrison cut him off. We received an anonymous notification 6 hours ago that unauthorized RTI procedures were being conducted. Lieutenant Commander Chen initiated an investigation. The JAG officer reviewed the footage Lieutenant Sterling uploaded to secure servers. Chen stepped forward, held up a tablet. 63 hours of video, 94 separate protocol violations, including 17 instances of harassment, 8 instances of unnecessary task assignment designed to cause physical harm, and this. She gestured around the room. Unauthorized interrogation conducted by a non-neutral party with intent to cause injury to a documented medical condition. The JAG officer spoke next. Master Chief Garrett Voss, you are hereby relieved of all duties pending formal investigation. You will surrender your credentials and report to the Provost Marshal immediately. This is bullshit, Voss exploded. She's been gunning for me since day one. This whole thing was a setup to... To what? Morrison asked. To document your misconduct? To create a record of behavior that should have been reported years ago? He pulled out a folder. We pulled your service record, Master Chief. Found 6 informal complaints. All dismissed. All involving female personnel. All claiming the same pattern of behavior Lieutenant Sterling documented. Voss went pale. Those complaints were unsubstantiated, he said. They were uninvestigated, Chen corrected. Because the women who filed them didn't have evidence. Lieutenant Sterling learned from their mistakes. Morrison looked at Maya. Lieutenant, do you require medical attention? My rib needs evaluation, sir, but I can walk. Petty Officer Hayes, escort Lieutenant Sterling to medical. Full examination, full documentation. Yes, sir. As Hayes led her toward the door, Voss spoke one last time. You think you've won? His voice was bitter. You think this changes anything? You'll always be the woman who couldn't hack it without playing victim, the one who needed cameras and lawyers instead of actually earning respect.
Maya stopped, turned. I earned respect the same way you did, Master Chief. By meeting the standards, by completing the training, by refusing to quit no matter what was thrown at me. The difference is, when I saw abuse, I didn't accept it as culture. I documented it as misconduct. Because the teams deserve better than men who think harassment is leadership. She paused at the door. My father served with you. He told me you were one of the best operators he knew. He also told me that even the best operators could become the worst leaders if they stopped seeing the mission and started protecting their ego. I guess he was right. The door closed behind her. Outside, the afternoon sun was blinding. Maya blinked, disoriented. Hayes steadied her. That was the gutsiest thing I've ever seen, he said quietly. Or the stupidest. Probably both. He paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. I saw what was happening. I didn't know how to stop it without making it worse. You're speaking up now. That's what matters. They walked toward the waiting vehicle. Dawson, Riker, and Cruz were standing next to it. All three snapped to attention when they saw her. Sterling, Dawson said. We had no idea he was going to... I know. If we'd known what he was planning, you would have tried to stop him, and he would have found another way. This way was better. This way there's evidence. Riker stepped forward. I need to say something. I've been an asshole. About integration. About women in the teams. About you, specifically. I thought you were a diversity hire. Thought you'd wash out. Thought you were just checking a box. And no? Now I think you're tougher than most of the men I've served with. And I think I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything. Just treat the next woman who comes through with the same standards you'd give any operator. That's all any of us want. Cruz spoke up. I logged everything I saw, wrote it down. Times, dates, specific incidents. Figured if this went to investigation, you'd need corroboration. Maya felt her throat tighten. Thank you. Don't thank me. I should have done it sooner. The vehicle ride back to base took 90 minutes. Maya sat in the back, ribs throbbing, mind racing. She'd done it. Documented everything, built the case, gotten the evidence. But she also knew this was just the beginning. The real fight would be what came next. The investigation. The testimony. The men who'd claim she was lying or exaggerating or playing victim. At the base medical facility, Hospital Corpsman Martinez took one look at her and grabbed a wheelchair. Don't even argue, he said. She didn't. The X-ray showed what she already knew. The hairline fracture had extended. 2 ribs now, not 1, plus severe bruising and inflammation. You're done for at least 8 weeks, Martinez said. No training, no ops, restricted duty, and you're lucky it's not worse. I know. Do you? Because you could have punctured a lung, could have caused internal bleeding, could have let him win, Maya interrupted. Could have quit. Could have proven him right. But I didn't. Martinez was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled up a chair. I reviewed the footage, he said quietly. Command sent it to medical for evaluation. Wanted my professional opinion on whether Voss's actions constituted assault. And? And they did. Clearly, deliberately, repeatedly. He paused. But that's not what impressed me. What impressed me was how you controlled yourself. How you never gave him the reaction he wanted. How you turned pain into power. My father taught me that. He taught you well. At 2100 hours, Maya was released from medical with instructions for rest, medication, and follow-up evaluation in 72 hours. She walked back to her barracks slowly, each step careful. Her phone buzzed. Commander Reeves. I heard, he said when she answered. Are you okay? Physically or emotionally?
Both.
Physically, I'm broken. Emotionally, I'm exhausted. But I'm also relieved. It's done. The evidence is documented. The investigation has started. Whatever happens next, at least it's not invisible anymore.
Your father would be so proud of you. Maya's eyes burned.
I hope so.
I know so. He always said the measure of an operator wasn't how hard they could hit, it was how long they could endure. You just proved that. She hung up and sat on her rack. The barracks were empty. Everyone was either still in the field or deliberately giving her space. Her body was shutting down. 52 hours of minimal sleep, constant pain, and psychological warfare had pushed her past every limit. But she'd made it. Not just through the exercise, through the system that said she didn't belong. And she'd done it the only way that mattered. With evidence. With witnesses. With truth. Tomorrow would bring the investigation, the testimony, the defense attorneys who'd try to discredit her, the men who'd claim she was overreacting. But tonight, she let herself feel what she'd been suppressing for 3 days. Victory. Not over Voss, over the silence that had protected men like him for decades. She pulled out her phone one more time, opened the recording app, verified the upload was complete. 63 hours, 14 minutes, 7 seconds of footage. All encrypted, all backed up, all admissible. Then she allowed herself something she hadn't done since her father's funeral. She cried. Not from pain, from relief, from exhaustion, from the weight of carrying something so heavy for so long finally being lifted. And somewhere across base, in the Provost Marshal's office, Master Chief Garrett Voss was realizing that the smallest person in the room had just ended his career. Not with strength, with truth. The knock came at 0630 hours. Maya hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt Voss's knee driving into her ribs again.
Lieutenant Sterling?
Lieutenant Commander Chen's voice through the door.
We need to talk.
Maya opened it. Chen wasn't alone. The JAG officer from yesterday stood beside her. Commander Patricia Walsh, according to her name tape.
May we come in?
Maya stepped back. They entered. Chen closed the door.
The investigation is moving faster than anticipated, Walsh said without preamble. Master Chief Voss hired civilian counsel. They're claiming entrapment, saying you deliberately provoked him to create a false narrative.
Maya's stomach dropped.
That's not what happened.
I know, but his attorney is good. Former Navy JAG herself. She's already filed motions to suppress the body camera footage, claiming it violates privacy expectations during training exercises.
Can she do that?
She can try. Whether she succeeds depends on how well we present the evidence. Walsh pulled out a tablet. I've reviewed all 63 hours. It's damning, but Voss's attorney will argue context. She'll say the harassment was standard military hardening, that the RTI incident was within his authority as team leader, that you consented to all of it by volunteering for SEER.
I didn't consent to assault.
Prove it was assault versus training intensity, and we win. Fail to prove intent, and we lose. Chen spoke up.
That's why we're here. We need your testimony, full deposition, every detail, everything that happened from the first day of integration training until yesterday.
When?
Now.
NCIS wants to interview you before Voss's attorney can coach him on counter-narrative. We have maybe 6 hours before she files for formal discovery and everything slows down. Maya's ribs throbbed. She'd taken pain medication an hour ago, but it hadn't kicked in yet.
I'm ready.
The interview room was sterile. White walls, recording equipment, 2 NCIS agents she'd never met, Special Agent Rivera, mid-40s, former Marine, Special Agent Kim, younger, intense eyes. "Let's start from the beginning," Rivera said. "When did you first interact with Master Chief Voss?" Maya walked them through everything: the formation comment, the obstacle course collision, the fractured rib, Voss's whisper, her decision to document instead of report, the SEER assignment, the camp relocations, the solo watch, the interrogation room. 4 hours later, her voice was hoarse. "Last question," Kim said. "Why didn't you report the initial assault? Why wait 3 days to take action?" Maya met her eyes. "Because I've seen what happens when women report without evidence. The system investigates, finds no proof, labels the woman as difficult or sensitive. Her career is effectively over, while the man continues as if nothing happened. I needed more than my word against his. I needed documentation that couldn't be dismissed." "So you deliberately put yourself in danger to build the case?" "I deliberately created conditions where his true behavior would be documented. There's a difference." Rivera leaned forward. "Some might say that's entrapment." "Some might be wrong. Entrapment is inducing someone to commit a crime they wouldn't normally commit. I didn't induce anything. I just gave Voss enough rope, and he hanged himself with it." Kim almost smiled. "That's a good line. Remember it for the hearing." "There's going to be a hearing?" Walsh entered the room. Maya hadn't realized she'd been watching through the one-way glass. "There's going to be a court-martial. Article 32 hearing scheduled for next Wednesday. You'll testify. So will Hayes, Dawson, Riker, Cruz, and Hospital Corpsman Martinez." "What are the charges?" "Assault, cruelty and maltreatment, conduct unbecoming, dereliction of duty. If convicted on all counts, Voss is looking at dishonorable discharge, reduction to E1, forfeiture of all pay and allowances, and up to 10 years confinement." Maya felt something twist in her chest. Not quite satisfaction, more like vindication. "And if he's acquitted?" "Then you better start preparing for the hardest fight of your life. Because if he walks, the message to every woman in the military is clear. Documentation doesn't matter. Evidence doesn't matter. The system still protects its own." The Article 32 hearing was held in a courtroom at Naval Base San Diego. Maya arrived in dress whites, ribs still tightly wrapped, moving carefully. Commander Reeves met her outside. "You ready for this?" he asked. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Inside, the room was packed. Press wasn't allowed, but every senior officer at Coronado seemed to have found a reason to attend. Maya recognized faces from the SEAL community. Some looked supportive, others hostile. Voss sat at the defense table in service dress blues. His attorney, Commander Lisa Brennan, was already reviewing documents. Voss didn't look at Maya, didn't acknowledge her at all. The military judge entered. Captain Richard Torres, reputation for fairness, but zero tolerance for games. "This Article 32 hearing is called to order. The purpose is to determine whether sufficient evidence exists to refer charges to court-martial. Commander Brennan, you may present your opening statement." Brennan stood. "Your Honor, this case represents a troubling trend of using military justice to settle personal grievances. Lieutenant Sterling is a talented officer who graduated BUD/S with honors, but rather than accepting the rigors of advanced training, she chose to view standard military instruction as harassment. She secretly recorded her superiors. She deliberately provoked situations to create a false narrative. And now she's using the legal system to destroy the career of a decorated Navy SEAL with 20 years of honorable service. We intend to prove that Master Chief Voss's actions were entirely appropriate, given his duties as a training instructor. Walsh stood for the prosecution. Your Honor, this case is about something much simpler: assault. The evidence will show that Master Chief Voss deliberately and repeatedly targeted Lieutenant Sterling because of her gender, that he used his authority to assign excessive tasks designed to aggravate a known injury, that he violated established SEER protocols to conduct an unauthorized interrogation where he intentionally caused physical harm. The defense wants to frame this as training intensity. The evidence will show it was calculated abuse. Torres nodded. Call your first witness, Commander Walsh. Prosecution calls Hospital Corpsman First Class Roberto Martinez. Martinez took the stand, sworn in, and confirmed Maya's injuries. 2 fractured ribs. The initial fracture occurred on the obstacle course. Medical imaging shows the fracture pattern consistent with direct impact, not compression or overuse. The extension of the fracture occurred during the SEER exercise, again consistent with direct, targeted trauma. Brennan cross-examined. Corpsman Martinez, isn't it true that rib fractures are common in SEAL training? In Bud/S, yes, not usually in advanced training. But they can occur from normal training activities. If those activities involve physical contact beyond standard parameters, yes. So Lieutenant Sterling's fractures could have resulted from legitimate training exercises. They could have, but the location and pattern suggest otherwise. Suggest, not prove. Medical evidence rarely proves intent, Commander. It shows injury. Intent comes from context. Next witness was Petty Officer Hayes. He testified about the watch rotation violations, the solo assignments, the mounting pattern of targeted tasks. Brennan hammered him. Petty Officer, you were present during all these alleged violations. Why didn't you report them? Hayes's jaw tightened. Because I was a coward. I saw what was happening. I knew it was wrong. But I was afraid of being labeled a troublemaker. Afraid of losing credibility with the team. So I stayed silent. That's on me. Or perhaps you stayed silent because nothing wrong was actually happening. No, ma'am. I stayed silent because I was scared. There's a difference. Chief Dawson testified next. Confirmed the camp relocations, the unnecessary tasks, the escalating harassment. Chief Dawson, Brennan asked, in your 23 years of naval service, have you ever seen training instructors push candidates hard? Of course. Have you seen instructors assign difficult or repetitive tasks? Yes. Have you seen instructors test candidates' mental endurance? Many times. Then how was Master Chief Voss's conduct any different? Dawson was quiet for a moment. Then he said, because it wasn't about making her better. It was about making her quit. I've seen instructors push people to their limits to build them up. I've never seen an instructor target someone's injury site repeatedly, unless the goal was to break them down. There's a line. Master Chief Voss crossed it. Riker and Cruz gave similar testimony. Both admitted they'd participated in the culture of dismissing Maya's capabilities. Both said Voss had gone beyond training into personal vendetta. Then Walsh called Maya. She walked to the stand, raised her right hand, swore to tell the truth. Her ribs screamed with every breath, but her voice stayed steady. Walsh walked her through the timeline. The initial assault, the whisper about little girls breaking, the decision to document, the SEER assignment, the interrogation room. Lieutenant Sterling, why did you request assignment to Master Chief Voss's SEER team? Because I needed to document whether his behavior was an isolated incident or a pattern. One assault could be explained away. A pattern of behavior over 72 hours, all recorded, established intent. Some might say that's entrapment.
Some might not understand the difference between creating a crime and documenting one that's already happening. Master Chief Voss made his choices. I just made sure there was a record.
Brennan's cross-examination was brutal. Lieutenant Sterling, you're aware that Master Chief Voss served with your father.
Yes.
And you're aware your father recommended women for SEAL training years before integration was approved. Yes. So you had personal reasons to target Master Chief Voss, perhaps even to embarrass him publicly as revenge for the Navy's historical exclusion of women. Maya's hands clenched. I targeted nobody. I documented misconduct. If Master Chief Voss felt embarrassed, perhaps he should have considered his actions before committing them. You secretly recorded a superior officer. I targeted training activities. The body camera was not concealed in a manner that violated any regulation. It was worn openly, just not announced. You deliberately requested assignment to his team. I requested an assignment that would allow me to complete my evaluation under realistic conditions. If Master Chief Voss couldn't control his behavior knowing I might be documenting, that's not my failing. That's his. Brennan stepped closer. Isn't it true, Lieutenant, that you've built your entire identity around being your father's daughter? That you can't accept the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you're not cut out for the teams on your own merit? The courtroom went silent. Maya felt the anger rising, hot, immediate, the kind that makes you say things you regret. Then she remembered her father's voice. Control emotion, or it controls you. My father died when I was 10, she said quietly. I've spent 12 years learning to live without him. I didn't join the Navy because of his legacy. I joined because I wanted to serve. I didn't volunteer for SEAL training to honor his memory. I volunteered because I wanted to be challenged. And I didn't document Master Chief Voss's abuse because of some daddy issue. I documented it because abuse is wrong, regardless of who commits it, regardless of who reports it, and regardless of whose daughter I am. Brennan tried another angle. You testified that Master Chief Voss whispered, "Little girls break easy," during the obstacle course collision, but there were no audio recordings of that moment. How do we know those words were actually spoken? Because I heard them, and because they matched the pattern of everything that came after. Or because they fit the narrative you wanted to create. Walsh stood. Objection. Argumentative. Sustained. Rephrase, Commander Brennan. Lieutenant Sterling, isn't it possible you misheard? That in the chaos of training, your perception was colored by your expectations? No, it's not possible. I know what I heard. The questioning continued for another hour. Brennan challenged every detail, every decision, every moment Maya had chosen documentation over immediate reporting. Finally, Torres called a recess. In the hallway, Walsh pulled Maya aside. You did well. Held your composure. Didn't take the bait. Did I give them enough? You gave them the truth. Whether that's enough depends on whether they want to hear it. Reeves approached. The JAG community is watching this case. Whatever happens here sets precedent. If Voss walks, it tells every victim of military harassment that evidence doesn't matter. If he's convicted, it tells every abuser that power doesn't protect you anymore. No pressure, then? Just truth. He paused. Your father would be proud. Not because you're fighting, because you're fighting smart. The hearing resumed. Walsh called her final witness, Commander David Reeves. Commander, you served with both Master Chief Voss and Commander James Sterling, correct? Yes. James Sterling was my closest friend for 15 years. Garrett Voss was a teammate I respected. Past tense? Yes. Why? Reeves looked at Voss. Because the man I served with understood that the teams existed to accomplish the mission, not to protect egos. When James recommended women for SEAL training in 2012, Voss was furious, said it would destroy team cohesion, undermine standards, turn the SEALs into a political experiment. He paused. James told him that fear of change was just ego in disguise, that true operators adapted. Voss never forgave him for that. The courtroom was absolutely still. "Are you saying Master Chief Voss targeted Lieutenant Sterling because of her father?" "I'm saying he targeted her because she represented everything he was afraid of. Change. Progress. The possibility that his way wasn't the only way. And when she refused to quit, when she exceeded his expectations, he couldn't handle it. So he tried to break her. Not because she was failing, because she was succeeding." Brennan didn't cross-examine. What could she ask? Torres called for closing arguments. Brennan stood. "Your Honor, this case asks us to criminalize military training, to punish instructors for pushing candidates, to turn every difficult assignment into potential abuse." Master Chief Voss made his career demanding excellence. If we convict him for that, we tell every instructor in the military that high standards are prosecutable, that challenging someone is assault, that military training must be soft, comfortable, and safe. That's not the Navy I served, and it's not the standard we should accept. Walsh's response was simple. "This case isn't about training intensity. It's about targeted abuse. The evidence shows Master Chief Voss didn't push Lieutenant Sterling to make her better. He pushed her to make her quit. He didn't challenge her fairly. He targeted her injury. He didn't follow protocol. He violated it. And when she documented his misconduct, he called it entrapment. But you can't entrap someone into being who they already are." Master Chief Voss's own words, his own actions, his own choices are on record. 63 hours of evidence. The only question is whether we have the courage to hold him accountable. Torres recessed for deliberation. Maya waited in a small conference room. Walsh sat across from her. "How long will it take?" Maya asked. "Could be hours, could be days. Article 32 isn't a trial. It's a probable cause hearing. Torres just has to decide if there's enough evidence to move forward to court-martial." "And if he says no?" "Then Voss walks, charges dismissed, and your career in the teams is effectively over because you'll be labeled the woman who cried wolf." Maya's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Saw the news coverage. You're brave. Thank you. Former BUD/S candidate who quit after harassment." Then another. "My daughter wants to be a SEAL because of you. Don't stop fighting." Then another. "You're making a difference. Keep going." Dozens of messages. From women, from men, from people she'd never met who'd been following the case through unofficial channels. 2 hours later, Torres reconvened the court. "I've reviewed the evidence, heard the testimony, considered both arguments." He looked at Voss. "Master Chief Voss, I find sufficient evidence to refer all charges to general court-martial. You will remain on restricted duty pending trial. Court is adjourned." The room erupted. Maya felt her knees weaken. Walsh grabbed her arm. "We won," Walsh said. "This is just step one, but we won." Outside, press cameras were waiting despite the military restriction. Questions shouted from every direction. "Lieutenant Sterling, how do you feel about the ruling? Do you think justice will be served? What do you want to say to other women in the military?" Captain Morrison appeared, moved Maya through the crowd. "No comments. Lieutenant Sterling will not be making any public statements." In his office, Morrison sat behind his desk. "You understand what you've started."
"Sir?"
"This isn't just about Voss anymore. This is about the entire culture. The Navy is watching. Congress is watching. If the court-martial convicts, we'll have to examine every training program, every instructor, every complaint that was dismissed. You've opened a door that can't be closed. Good. Morrison almost smiled. Your father said the same thing when he recommended women for the teams. I told him it would cause chaos. He said chaos was the price of progress. Was he right? Time will tell. He pulled out a folder. In the meantime, you're being reassigned. Effective immediately, you're detached from advanced training and assigned to Naval Special Warfare Development Group as a training doctrine consultant. Sir, I haven't completed integration training. You've demonstrated more than enough competence to be valuable to DevGru. They want your input on reforming training protocols, making them more effective and less abusive. They want me to help fix the system. They want you to help build a better one. Maya left his office in a daze 8 weeks ago. She was just trying to survive. Now she was helping redesign the entire program. Her phone rang. Reeves. I heard. DEVGRU. That's impressive.
It feels like exile disguised as promotion.
It's opportunity disguised as protection. They're keeping you away from retaliation while the trial proceeds. Smart move.
What happens now?
Now we wait for the court-martial. Could be months. Voss's attorney will file every motion she can think of to delay. But eventually there'll be a trial. And you'll testify again. And this time, it's for keeps.
I'm ready.
I know you are. Just remember, winning isn't just about convicting Voss. It's about changing the culture that created him. That night, Maya sat in her new barracks room at a different base. Her ribs still hurt. Her body still carried the evidence of what Voss had done. But something had shifted. She'd spent her whole life trying to prove she deserved to be here, trying to earn respect through performance, trying to be good enough that gender wouldn't matter. Now she understood. She didn't need to prove anything. The standards proved her. The evidence proved her. The truth proved her. Everything else was just noise. And sometimes, the smallest voice in the room was the one that changed everything. Not because it was loud, because it refused to be silenced. The court-martial began 4 months later on a Tuesday morning that felt like every other Tuesday. Except it wasn't. Maya walked into the courtroom at Naval Base San Diego in dress whites, her ribs finally healed, her spine straighter than it had ever been. Voss sat at the defense table looking smaller somehow. 4 months of restricted duty had aged him. Or maybe Maya was just seeing him clearly for the first time. The military panel filed in. 7 officers, 4 men, 3 women. All senior rank. All with combat experience. All with reputations for fairness. Judge Torres addressed the room. This court-martial will determine guilt or innocence on charges of assault, cruelty, and maltreatment, conduct unbecoming, and dereliction of duty. Commander Walsh, call your first witness. The prosecution's case took 3 days. They played the body camera footage in its entirety. All 63 hours condensed to the most damning moments. Voss's voice threatening, his deliberate targeting, the interrogation room assault. The panel watched in silence. On day 4, Brennan began the defense. Her strategy was simple: make Maya the villain. The prosecution wants you to believe this is about abuse, Brennan told the panel. It's not. It's about a young officer who couldn't handle the pressure of elite training and decided to destroy a good man's career rather than admit her own limitations. She called character witnesses, SEALs who'd served with Voss for decades. All testified he was tough but fair, demanding
but effective. A leader who'd shaped countless operators.
Master Chief Voss pushed people, one witness said, but he never broke anyone who didn't need breaking. And sometimes breaking down is the only way to build up. Then Brennan called her surprise witness, Commander Patricia Hendricks, former BUD/S instructor, one of the first women to attempt SEAL training in 2015. She'd failed Hell Week. Commander Hendricks, Brennan asked, you experienced BUD/S training firsthand. Did instructors push you hard?
Extremely hard.
Did they target your weaknesses?
Constantly.
Did they say things that could be considered harassment?
Hendricks hesitated. Sometimes.
And did you file complaints?
No.
Why not?
Because I understood the training was supposed to be hard, that breaking down your ego was part of building up your capability. I failed because I wasn't ready, not because the instructors were abusive.
Brennan turned to the panel. Commander Hendricks represents what military training should be. Acknowledgement of reality. Acceptance of standards. Lieutenant Sterling represents what happens when we criminalize difficulty, when we label every challenge as abuse. Walsh cross-examined hard. Commander Hendricks, did any instructor at BUD/S deliberately target a documented injury? Not that I'm aware of. Did any instructor conduct unauthorized interrogations designed to aggravate medical conditions? No. Did any instructor whisper threats about breaking you while you were already broken? Hendricks looked uncomfortable. No. Then your experience and Lieutenant Sterling's experience aren't comparable, are they? I suppose not. On day 7, Voss took the stand. Brennan walked him through his service record. 20 years, multiple deployments, commendations, leadership positions, a career of excellence. Master Chief Voss, Brennan asked, did you assault Lieutenant Sterling? No, ma'am. Everything I did was within my authority as training instructor. Did you target her because of her gender? Absolutely not. I held her to the same standards I hold every operator. Did you intend to cause her harm? I intended to prepare her for the realities of combat. Sometimes that preparation is uncomfortable. Walsh's cross-examination was surgical. Master Chief Voss, you testified you held Lieutenant Sterling to the same standards as every operator. Is it standard to conduct solo watch rotations? In certain circumstances. What circumstances? When evaluating individual capability. Is it standard to order camp setup and relocation 3 times in 2 hours? If position needs adjustment. Is it standard to conduct RTI interrogations on team members you have personal conflicts with? I had no personal conflict with Lieutenant Sterling. Walsh played a clip from the body camera. Voss's voice. Little girls break easy. No personal conflict? Walsh repeated. That was a poor choice of words in the heat of training. A poor choice. Not a threat? It was motivation. Motivation to do what? Break her ribs? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Voss went quiet. Master Chief Voss, you served with Lieutenant Sterling's father, Commander James Sterling, correct? Yes. And Commander Sterling recommended women for SEAL training in 2012, correct? Yes. You opposed that recommendation, correct? I had concerns about integration. You called it political correctness destroying combat effectiveness, correct? That was taken out of context. Was it? Because when Lieutenant Sterling arrived at advanced training, you saw an opportunity to prove your point, to show that women couldn't hack it, to validate your opposition to integration. Isn't that the real reason you targeted her? No. Then why did you specifically request her assignment to your SEER team? The courtroom went silent. Walsh pulled out a document, training assignment request form, dated 5 days before SEER, signed by you, specifically requesting Lieutenant Sterling for Team 4. Care to explain? Voss's face went white. I wanted to ensure proper evaluation. Proper evaluation or guaranteed failure? Objection! Brennan stood. Argumentative. Sustained. Rephrase, Commander Walsh. Master Chief Voss, you requested her assignment. You designed excessive tasks. You conducted unauthorized interrogation. You targeted her injury. All documented, all deliberate, all designed to make her quit. And when she didn't quit, when she documented your abuse instead, you called it entrapment. But you can't trap someone into being who they already are. Can you? Voss didn't answer. Closing arguments came on day 9. Brennan made her final appeal. This case will set precedent. If you convict Master Chief Voss, you tell every military instructor that demanding excellence is criminal, that pushing candidates is abuse, that high standards are prosecutable. Is that the military you want to serve? Walsh stood for the last time. This case is simple. Master Chief Voss had authority. He abused it. He had responsibility. He betrayed it. He had power. He weaponized it. The defense wants you to believe this is about training standards. It's not. It's about one man who couldn't accept change and decided to destroy someone rather than adapt. The evidence is clear. The law is clear. The only question is whether you have the courage to apply both. The panel deliberated for 14 hours. Maya waited in a conference room with Walsh and Reeves. Nobody spoke much. The silence was heavy with possibility. At 22:30 hours, Torres reconvened the court. Has the panel reached a verdict? The senior member stood. Captain Melissa Rodriguez, former F-18 pilot, Silver Star recipient. We have, Your Honor. On the charge of assault, how do you find? Guilty. Maya's breath caught. On the charge of cruelty and maltreatment. Guilty. On the charge of conduct unbecoming. Guilty. On the charge of dereliction of duty. Guilty. The courtroom erupted. Torres gavelled for order. Voss sat motionless. His attorney touched his shoulder. He didn't respond. Sentencing came 3 days later. Torres addressed Voss directly. Master Chief Garrett Voss, you had a distinguished career. You served with honor for 2 decades. But when faced with change, when confronted with progress, you chose ego over duty. You chose power over principle. You chose abuse over leadership. This court sentences you to reduction in rank to E1, forfeiture of all pay and allowances, 6 years confinement, and dishonorable discharge. Voss's face crumpled. 20 years erased in one sentence. Torres continued. But this court also recognizes that you are not solely responsible for the culture that enabled your behavior. The Navy failed to investigate previous complaints, failed to hold you accountable earlier, failed to protect the women who came before Lieutenant Sterling. That failure ends now. He turns to Maya. Lieutenant Sterling, you demonstrated exceptional courage, not just in enduring abuse, but in documenting it, in building accountability when the system failed to provide it. This court commends your service and your sacrifice. Outside the courtroom, press cameras swarmed. Maya gave one statement. This wasn't about me. This was about every woman who reported abuse and wasn't believed. Every man who witnessed misconduct and was too afraid to speak up. Every service member who thought the system couldn't change. Today proves it can. Today proves evidence matters. Truth matters. And courage matters more
than rank.
6 months later, Maya stood in front of 40 SEAL candidates at the Naval Special Warfare Center. 20 men, 20 women. The first fully integrated BUD/S class in history.
"I'm Lieutenant Sterling," she said.
"Some of you know my story. Some of you think it makes me special. It doesn't. It makes me lucky. Lucky that I had evidence. Lucky that I had witnesses. Lucky that the system finally worked. But luck isn't strategy, and luck isn't what gets you through this program." She walked the line. BUD/S is designed to be the hardest military training in the world. It will break you down. That's the point. But there's a difference between breaking down your ego and breaking down your body. Between pushing you to grow and pushing you to quit. Between leadership and abuse. If you experience the latter, you document it. You report it. You demand accountability. Because silence protects perpetrators. And we're done protecting perpetrators. A female candidate raised her hand. "Lieutenant, how do we know what's legitimate hardness versus abuse?" "You know because legitimate hardness applies to everyone equally. Abuse targets specific people. Legitimate hardness has clear training objectives. Abuse has personal agendas. Legitimate hardness stops when the lesson is learned. Abuse continues until someone breaks." Another candidate spoke up. "What if we report and nothing happens?" "Then you document more. You build evidence. You find witnesses. You don't stop until the truth is heard. Because the alternative is letting the next person suffer what you suffered, and that's not acceptable." The class graduated 6 months later. 32 candidates made it through, 14 men, 18 women. The highest female graduation rate in SEAL history. Maya received her first operational assignment 1 week later. SEAL Team 3, her father's team. The team she'd dreamed about since she was 10 years old. The team commander was Lieutenant Commander Sarah Martinez, former surface warfare officer who'd transferred to SEALs after integration opened, one of the first 10 women to earn the Trident. "Sterling," Martinez said when Maya reported, "your reputation precedes you."
"Is that a good thing or a bad thing, ma'am?"
"Depends on whether you think changing the entire culture of naval special warfare is good or bad."
"I think it's necessary."
"Good answer." Martinez pulled out a mission folder. "Counterterrorism operation, Syria. High-value target extraction. You're on the assault team, communications and intelligence specialist. You speak Arabic?"
"Fluently."
"Then you're exactly what we need." The mission launched 2 weeks later. Nighttime helicopter insertion. Hostile territory. Target was an ISIS commander coordinating attacks against Allied forces. Maya's role was critical. Monitor communications, provide real-time translation, coordinate extraction with local assets. The operation went sideways 12 minutes in. Unexpected enemy reinforcements, heavy fire. The team was pinned down. "Sterling," Martinez's voice came through the radio. "We need an exit route, now." Maya scanned the tactical display, analyzed terrain, enterprise communications, found the gap in enemy coverage. "Exfil route Delta," she transmitted. "Bearing 270. Window closes in 4 minutes. "Can you confirm locals won't engage?" Maya switched to Arabic, contacted their Kurdish allies, negotiated safe passage, coordinated covering fire. "Confirmed. Locals will provide support." The team extracted. 0 casualties. Target secured. Mission successful. Back on the helicopter, Martinez sat next to Maya.
"You know what I just realized?"
"What's that, ma'am?"
"Nobody on this team knows you're the woman who took down a Master Chief. They just know you're the communications specialist who got us out alive. That's how it should be. That's all I ever wanted."
1 year after the court-martial, Maya received orders to report to the Naval Special Warfare Command. She expected another assignment. Instead, she walked into a conference room full of senior officers. Admiral James Parker, commander of Naval Special Warfare, stood at the head of the table. "Lieutenant Sterling, please sit." She sat. "We've been reviewing integration protocols across all Special Operations Forces. Your case highlighted systemic failures. We're implementing changes, but changes only work if the people implementing them understand why they're necessary. We need someone who's lived the problem to help build the solution." "Sir, I'm not sure I understand." "We're creating a new position. Special Assistant for Integration and Training Reform. Reports directly to this command. Reviews all training programs, investigates complaints, ensures accountability. It's yours if you want it." Maya felt her chest tighten. "Sir, I'm an operator. I want to serve on a team. I want to deploy. I want—" "You want to make a difference," Parker interrupted. "This makes a bigger difference than any single deployment. This changes the culture for everyone who comes after you. Can I think about it?" "You have 24 hours. That night, Maya called Reeves. "They offered me a desk," she said. "I heard." "I don't want a desk. I want to operate." "Then tell them no." "But if I tell them no, who builds the system? Who ensures the changes actually happen?" "Someone else. There's always someone else." "Is there?" Maya was quiet. "Because I keep thinking about all the women who reported abuse before me, who didn't have evidence, who weren't believed, who got forced out while their abusers continued. If I don't take this job, if I don't build the accountability system, am I just letting them down? Or maybe you're honoring them by proving a woman can operate at the highest level, by being the example instead of the enforcer. Can't I be both?" "Not in the same job." Maya made her decision at 0500 the next morning. She reported to Admiral Parker. "Sir, I appreciate the offer, but my answer is no." Parker didn't look surprised. "Why?" "Because cultural change doesn't come from positions, it comes from people. If I take a desk job, I become the woman who couldn't hack operations. I become the diversity hire who got promoted for filing complaints. I become proof that women need special positions instead of earning operational ones. But if I stay on a team, if I deploy, if I prove myself in combat over and over, I become something more valuable. I become normal. And normal is what we need." Parker studied her. "You know they're going to offer this job to someone who doesn't understand it like you do. Then they better find someone good." "All right, Lieutenant. You want to operate? You'll operate. But when you retire, when your operating days are done, this job will be waiting." "I'll be ready for it then." 5 years later, Lieutenant Commander Maya Sterling led her team through her 8th deployment, counter-terrorism operations across 3 continents, 12 successful missions, 0 casualties, reputation for excellence that had nothing to do with gender and everything to do with competence. The Navy changed around her. Integration became normal. Female SEAL candidates graduated regularly. Discrimination complaints were investigated properly. The culture shifted from resistance to acceptance. But the real change was quieter. It was male SEAL candidates asking female instructors for advice without thinking twice. It was mission planners selecting team members based on capability without considering gender. It was the absence of conversations about whether women belonged, because the answer was so obviously yes that the question stopped being asked. Maya received a message one afternoon from an unknown number. "I'm in BUD/S right now, week 4. It's brutal, but I'm making it. Thank you for showing us it was possible. Future SEAL." Then another. "My daughter graduates BUD/S next month. She's going to Team 5. Never thought I'd see the day. Thank you. Then dozens more, from operators, from families, from women who'd given up on military service until they saw what Maya had done. She didn't respond to any of them, didn't need to. Her response was simple. She kept serving, kept operating, kept proving every single day that excellence had no gender. 10 years after the court-martial, Admiral Parker retired. His replacement was Vice Admiral Sarah Martinez, former SEAL Team 3 commander, one of the first women to earn the Trident. Maya's former CO. Martinez's first official act was creating the position she'd held open for a decade. Special Assistant for Integration and Training Reform. She called Maya into her office. "You ready now?" Martinez asked. Maya looked at her service record. 15 years in, 4 more until retirement. She'd accomplished everything she'd set out to do, proven everything that needed proving. "I'm ready." "Good, because we've got a lot of work to do." Maya took the job, spent her final 4 years redesigning every training program across naval special warfare, implementing accountability systems, training new instructors, building the culture her father had dreamed about decades earlier. On her retirement day, she stood at her father's memorial at Arlington. Lieutenant Commander James Sterling, SEAL Team 3, killed in action, Kabul, 2014. She placed her Trident insignia next to his name. "I did it, Dad," she said quietly. "Not just for me. For everyone." Behind her, a voice spoke. He'd be proud. She turned. Dawson stood there, retired now, gray in his beard, but the same steady presence. "Chief." "It's just Marcus now. Been out for 5 years." He stepped closer. "I owe you an apology." "You already apologized at the hearing." "Not for that. For not doing more. For seeing what Voss was doing and staying silent. For choosing comfort over courage." "You testified when it mattered." "But I should have acted before it got to testimony. Should have stood up the first time I saw him target you." Maya was quiet for a moment. "You know what I learned? Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about acting despite fear. You acted. That's enough." "Is it?" "It has to be. Because if we keep punishing people for being imperfect, we'll never build anything better. The system changes when enough people decide to change it. You decided. That matters." Dawson nodded. "For what it's worth, everything you built is working. My daughter just got accepted to BUD/S. She's starting next month. She's terrified, but she's going because she saw what you did." Maya felt her throat tighten. "Tell her she's ready. And tell her that fear is just information. What she does with it is what matters." 6 months after retirement, Maya received one final call. Commander Patricia Walsh, the JAG officer who'd prosecuted Voss. "I have news," Walsh said. "The Navy just released its 10-year integration report. Female SEAL graduation rate is now 42%. Male graduation rate is 41%. For the first time in history, women are graduating at the same rate as men. Because the standards stayed the same, but the culture changed. Exactly. And there's something else. The Navy is naming its new training facility after you, the Sterling Integration and Training Center. It opens next year. Maya sat down. "They can't do that. I'm not dead. You don't name things after people who are still alive." "They made an exception. Because you didn't just serve. You transformed service. And they want every person who walks through those doors to know what's possible when you refuse to accept impossible." The facility opened on a Tuesday. Maya cut the ribbon in front of 200 SEAL candidates, men and women, young and old, every background, every experience. She gave a short speech. 22 years ago, I was told I didn't belong, that I was too small, too young, too female. Some people tried to break me. They failed. Not because I was stronger, because I was documented. I turned abuse into evidence, evidence into accountability, and accountability into change. None of you will face what I faced. The system is better now, but it's not perfect. It never will be. So if you see abuse, you document it. If you see injustice, you report it. If you see someone trying to break the system, you hold them accountable. Because silence protects perpetrators, and we're done protecting perpetrators. The candidates applauded. Maya walked off the stage and stood in the back, watching the next generation begin their journey. A young woman approached, maybe 20 years old, nervous energy.
Ma'am, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm starting BUD/S next week. I wouldn't be here if you hadn't fought.
Maya smiled. You're here because you earned it. I just made sure the door stayed open. Walking through it is on you.
But what if I fail?
Then you fail with honor, because trying and failing is better than never trying at all. That's what my father taught me. That's what I'm teaching you. The woman nodded and walked away. Maya stood alone, watching the sun set over the Pacific. She thought about the 22-year-old who'd walked into Coronado with fractured ribs and unshakable resolve. The woman who'd documented every moment of abuse because she knew silence wouldn't protect her. The operator who'd proven that size didn't matter when spine was strong enough. They'd tried to break her because she was small, because she was young, because she was a woman in their world. But Maya Sterling didn't break. She built. Built evidence, built accountability, built a system that protected instead of punished, built a culture that valued capability over comfort, built a legacy that would outlast every person who doubted her. And in the end, that was the only revenge that mattered. Not destroying those who tried to destroy her, but creating something so strong that people like them could never destroy anyone again. Because real strength wasn't about how hard you could hit. It was about how much you could endure, document, and transform into justice. And Maya Sterling had transformed everything.